What's going on, everybody? This is Dr. Thon. We are back. This is session 3 and 4. And I'm telling you right now, this is a powerful one because for the next couple hours, we are talking about one thing and one thing only. That's imposter syndrome. And I'm telling you, I have some of the world's best doctors to talk about this conversation, and I'm going to let them have it because they are going to give you some insights that are truly going to change your life because this is a topic that so many people discuss. And I want to make sure that we let these heavy hitters go ahead and discuss it. Once again, if you're checking us out live on LinkedIn or YouTube, tell a friend, invite somebody, let them know we're live. You can comment, you can give insights. We had an incredible session 1 and 2, and we're ready for sessions 3 and 4. So without further ado, we're going to let these great doctors introduce yourselves. I'm going to give to Dr. Cheryl Cooper. Welcome back to the Doc Chat. Welcome to Dr. Thon. Introduce yourself and welcome here today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Turner. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Cheryl Cooper. I achieved my doctorate degree in computer science with a specific emphasis on information assurance. I did my dissertation on a privacy perspectives, perceptions as we look at mobile technology. I am currently, and what I'm doing is that I'm a podcaster with my podcast host being the podcast host of Control, Alt, and Power. I am also an author. I am a TEDx speaker. I am a GRC, Governance, Risk, Compliance Executive, a cybersecurity resilience strategist. So what I do, I look across networks like T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, and ensure that we have those controls in place to keep the bad guys out. And I'm an adjunct professor. I'm also president of Women in Cybersecurity. And my passion today and what I really do today is advocate for the woman in technology because we are not there. We're not seeing the numbers with the number of women in technology, even more so with the number of women in STEM. In STEM, we're only still seeing about 29% of women across all STEM careers across 146 countries. So that's what I do. I'm reaching out to the woman's advocacy, also sharing with her skills and strategies on how to become being seen. Thank you again, Dr. Turner.
We love that. We appreciate that you're here. Dr. Cooper cannot wait to hear your insights on this topic. We're going to go to the amazing Dr. Anika James. We appreciate you. Dr. Anika, we appreciate you so much. The work that you've done, and you've been a wonderful guest on the Doc Chat a few times. Welcome back. Welcome to Dr. Thon. Tell us a little bit about yourself today.
Yes, I've been here a few times. I enjoy myself every time I come. I'm Dr. Anika Ayana James, and I received my PhD from Liberty University in communication, digital media, and journalism. I received it in 2022, and in that time, I did my dissertation on narrative and the power of owning your narrative and understanding the impact narrative has on societal views through media perception, particularly in the BIPOC community, Black, Indigenous people of color. So it was important for me for us to understand where narrative came from, how we're viewed, how that impacts how we're viewed within society. And that speaks volumes, especially when we're talking about imposter syndrome. And I'm sure we'll get deeper into that later. I think of myself more like a storyteller, strategist for justice. I deal with a lot of organizations and entities, particularly military, civilian. I've done NGOs. I really enjoyed myself working with these organizations and trying to strategically communicate, shall we say, and learning the benefits of strategic communication. I'm an author. I own a company called Just Narrative, which particularly focuses on narrative and consulting organizations on how to communicate effectively. I'm also an ordained minister. Uh, so I wear many different hats. So that's me in a nutshell. That's Dr. Anika Yana. That's it.
We appreciate you, Doc. We appreciate you so much for being here, and your support over the years has been phenomenal. So we're proud of you. Definitely proud of you. And definitely, last but not least, a brand new doctor. She officially has become the first individual to be on the doc chat as a student and now as a doctor. That is the newly minted Dr. Deja Askew. Welcome back to the doc chat. Congratulations on completing your doctorate degree. Tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. And this is truly just an honor. So I am Dr. Askew, and I got my PhD in higher ed at Indiana University. So my dissertation work was just really looking at Black students and really just also just how they belong. So that is what my work spans now. And I am currently a assistant prof at Jackson State University. So I literally just moved down on Sunday, just got settled in. So a lot of changes are happening, but I'm really excited, really, really thrilled. So I finished my PhD in 4 years. And then so I landed a tenure track role like straight out. So I think I'm gonna have a lot of things to say on this topic. So really, really excited. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate you. And as you see here in this conversation, we have great women doctors at every level. They're going to give their perspective as women on imposter syndrome. And then in an hour, we're going to have great male doctors, men doctors, going to give their perspective on imposter syndrome. So buckle up, folks, because we are in for a treat on today. So one of the things I always like to do on the doc chat is provide a historical overview over what we're talking about. And in this case, we're talking about imposter syndrome. So what a lot of people don't realize when it comes to imposter syndrome, it's not really something you could be diagnosed with, but it really is something that you go through. It is a situation, or what some people are now calling more of a phenomenon of what you go through. Now, how imposter syndrome started, and let me zoom in so folks can kind of get a good look at this. It actually started with two white women who are psychologists, Pauline Clance and Susan Imes, introduced the term. And as they say, it's more of a phenomenon, but we have really kind of honed in on the term what we consider as syndrome. And what this really alluded to was the struggles that individuals have really kind of balancing out everything in life and showing up, being your best self, and wondering if people really accept who you are. As they talked about in their study that came out in 1978, there's specific patterns that happen, whereas your family dynamics, which can really kind of birth those feelings of imposter syndrome, but also your upbringing and what you've been through, and then how you get into spaces when you become a professional and how it really kind of shapes who you are. And is this something that could be shook, or is this something that we all live with? So that's why we have these great doctors to talk about it. And so let me pull that one off. And then there was a great video that I showed the doctors I want to make sure everybody sees, so that we can get a little bit of perspective of the names that are being used. Some people call it syndrome, some people call it phenomenon. So hopefully I could pull this up and everybody could hear it. So give me 1 second. All right, make sure the volume's up. All right, everybody sees that. All right, make sure. Yep. Okay, make sure. All right, here we go.
I'm getting a PhD in education and psychology, and my research primarily focuses on the imposter phenomenon in Black students, social class, and mental health. And I'm here to tell you why imposter syndrome is not a thing. This is something that I hear a lot on TikTok and just in popular media. Is people referring to imposter phenomenon as the imposter syndrome. There are a couple things wrong with this. First of all, syndrome implies that there is some sort of medical dysfunction or that there is some sort of pathological condition that is occurring, and that is not the case with feelings of imposterism. The imposter phenomenon does not meet the criteria to be classified as a diagnosable disorder in the DSM-5, otherwise known as the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders. The other issue with referring to the imposter phenomenon or feelings of imposterism as imposter syndrome is it puts undue blame on the person that's experiencing these feelings. And this is largely what my research focuses on. Those feelings of lack of belonging, self-doubt, and feeling like you're going to get found out by your colleagues is often not only a result of your own feelings, but also the world around you. We cannot talk about imposterism without also talking about racism, classism, sexism, all of the isms. It's therefore important that we don't place undue blame on the people that are experiencing these imposter feelings because they're likely just responding to their environment. Next time you see or hear something about the imposter syndrome, just know that it's not a syndrome, it is actually a phenomenon, and correct others when you hear it.
All right. All right. So, Dr. Cheryl Cooper, what is imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon to you? And let's dive right into this. And what did you experience when it came to, I'll say, imposterism? What did you experience?
Thank you, Dr. Turner. And for a woman as myself, who's been in corporate America for over 2 decades, I have quite a bit of experience in this area as a Black woman, as well as being a naval veteran. I did mention that in my introduction. But as you stated initially, this term imposter syndrome originated back in 1978, and it was a study that was done predominantly with white women and white women who were achievers. So when I first heard of this term, imposter syndrome, I thought that it was a white woman's issue. It was not applicable to Black women. It was just something that was talked about behind closed doors, corporate boardrooms, by women who had already made it. And for a long time, I didn't even connect with the term. Not because I felt confident. I wasn't pretending to be something I wasn't. I was being shaped by what I was told I was. Not good enough, not smart enough, not capable, not pretty enough, not worthy for opportunity. I was too dark. So for me, originally in my younger years, the question was I suffering from an imposter condition, or more of an inferiority complex that was rooted in a lack of self-esteem, both of which, as we stated, are not clinical or medical conditions or diagnoses.
Right.
So I've concluded that along my career, along my life, I've experienced both of these, this imposterism along with this lack of self-esteem that I felt in my younger years. As I became credentialed and experienced, I began to experience, and these two conditions begin to intertangle the low self-esteem along with the imposter syndrome. And why this is dangerous? Because we run the risk of not labeling it correctly. And when we label it incorrectly, we delay the healing and the appropriate action to take for what we're experiencing. I want to share when I was younger, a story, if I may. Imagine for a moment, it's Easter Sunday and you're dressed to the nines, just like your siblings. But after the Easter egg hunt, you hear the church mothers praising your lighter skinned siblings and cousins. And so you run over there and you stop and you pause and you put your hands behind your back and you look up with those big brown eyes and you smile as you wait to hear that same compliment. But that compliment never comes for you. And at that very moment, you think for yourself, at age 5 years old, is this what life is going to be like for me? For me, I felt invisible.
Mm.
Colorism, the brown paper bag, a cruel test of our worth, not worthy, less beautiful, and for girls who look like me or who are darker than me, oftentimes it is a sentence of invisibility and rooted in our lack of self esteem as we go through our careers, as we grow up and even move into our careers before we even learn about imposter syndrome.
That's
So
powerful.
it's important that we label the behavior correctly.
That's powerful right there. I appreciate you. Dr. James, kind of your thoughts on what is it to you and what have you experienced as a doctor?
And to me, imposter syndrome is more than just self doubt, right? It's a psychological response to cultural exclusion. Like Dr. Cooper, I also came through in a male dominated society, right? Everything I did, every avenue I was in was male dominated. I too am a naval vet. So I definitely understand where she's coming from with this. It emerges, this exclusion emerges when you're told, or this syndrome, this behavior, this self-doubt emerges when you're told explicitly and subtly that your brilliance just needs permission to exist, and that's a hard thing to understand when you know that you've done everything in your power to make yourself stand out, to make yourself be the top of, to make yourself the best of, and then to sit there and feel like you are not enough. As a veteran, I served in systems built on hierarchy and uniformity. And then the same thing in my entrepreneurial career, launching spaces that celebrate, sophistication and feminine empowerment, and then just being challenged as an author. I just published, as you know, my first book, Beyond the Margins. And this is exactly what we speak about. We speak about voices and being pushed to the edge and the fight to reclaim a space. We're always fighting to, especially amongst women, it's that interconnectivity of not only am I female, right? But then I'm Black. But then in my case, I'm LGBTQ. But then, it's always a but then. I'm the daughter of immigrants. So where do I fit? Because in the greater scheme of things, I'm not supposed to exist. I'm
Wow.
not supposed to be. This is not supposed to happen. So whether it's in the military, the boardroom, the creative shop, I felt friction that comes with being unapologetically me. You know what I'm saying? And that's why when I approached imposter syndrome, it was a personal struggle within myself.
Yeah.
I looked at it as a form of rebellion against social norms, and I refused to shrink myself to make anybody else feel big.
Love that. We love that. Appreciate those comments. Appreciate those insights. And we're going to throw it over to Dr. Askew. When you're looking at now imposter syndrome, just finishing a doctorate degree and now coming over to the doctor side, kind of when did you first discover it? When did it first start emulating with you? And kind of what are your thoughts about it?
I would say my experiences and my perspective is just very different. If I'm being honest, I don't think I've ever dealt with feeling like an imposter or the like syndrome and all of that. What I think it roots from is really comparison. Like you're looking at what other people are doing, you're looking at what other people have, and then you're seeing how you measure up. And that's why people feel that certain way. So I would say I never really experienced it. I will say on the first day of class, when I was a student, that we had the first day of class, and I'm like one of the youngest ones in the room. I was 23 when I started my program, and then literally everyone else that was in my cohort had years of, experience, and I'm just like, oh dang, like these are grown folks for real, and I'm just little 23-year-old me sitting there. But then when I had that feeling, I was like, nope, Deja, we gonna put that out of your head and move on.
That's it.
And then that's when I moved on from that feeling. So the reason why I don't experience it, and I never have, and I probably never will, is really because I'm so rooted in Christ. So that's where my like perspective is coming from, because I know God has made me a certain way, and He's made me to where I'm supposed to be here. Because if I wasn't, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I mean, really straight up, like I wouldn't be here. So I never really dealt with it much because I know who I am in Christ. And I know God has made me to be unique. He's made me to be wonderful. And He has given me everything that I already need to feel His calling, to feel His purpose. So I don't need to compare myself to what other people are doing, because I have my own race, I have my own journey. And that's why I think I was able to really thrive that when I finished school. Now, granted, I didn't have the perfect journey that while I was a student, because I went through things. I've had many bumps in the road, but those bumps never shook so how I felt about myself.
Indeed.
So that's just kind of where my head is at here.
Okay.
And Dr. Turner, I just want to make a comment on Dr. Askew. Thank you for sharing your story. And I'm glad we're here with different generations. You're a different generation than I am. And I came up in that era of this colorism thing. Even at one point when we had rappers who were saying we're glad that we have interracial girls so that now we can have pretty girls in our videos.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes. So when we're hearing those, when I'm hearing that as a Black girl who's 13, 14 years old, and how that would affect my self-esteem. But there's one thing that you said here, and we'll probably talk about it later when we're talking about how do we deal with it, is your positive affirmations.
There you go.
You said, I already know this about me. And probably when you came up, see, you already knew you were pretty. I met someone in your generation and she said, my daddy always told me I was pretty, so I don't know anything else to think. And I was like, wow, really?
Yeah. Those are the conversations we need to make sure we're having, because as Dr. Cooper is saying, they didn't happen a lot of times back, and they put you in a box, and you were that box until you either came out of that box or somebody told you and pulled you out of it. And those are the things that we want to make sure we're discussing today. So folks, we're going to continue on this great conversation. We are here at DOCTORTHON. This is presented by the Doc Chat. Got Dr. Askew, Dr. James, and Dr. Cooper. And Dr. Cooper is right. We're going right into the how do you overcome it? How do you get past it? What were the things that helped you get out of that box, Dr. Cooper? And how would that help somebody else in their future?
Absolutely. There is one point I want to make when we talk about the inferiority feelings. I'm not worthy. Those are symptoms of low self-esteem, having negative opinions about yourself and your worth. You move into this imposterism when you're doubting your own abilities and fearing that you may be exposed as a fraud. For me, I had to deal with both of these. And some of the strategies that I have used with the imposter syndrome is, but I'm going to tell another story so I can frame it up. Being as an executive, I sat in many meetings and there were nothing but white men at the table, and they have literally talked among themselves, turned their heads, their bodies, and excluded me from the meeting. But I sat there with my grace, knowing at some point you're going to have to go down and come back up for air. And when they did that is when I jumped in and I politely expressed my displeasure and how they disrespected me at the table. And then I jumped in with statistics and my perspective. And I even had one of them say, that's not true. And I'm like, oh, we've got plenty of time. Go ahead, fact check me. And they said, oh, no. Go ahead, continue. So one of the things, strategies that I have found is that we as women, unfortunately, we have got to come in and know our stuff, because competence will breed confidence. I went in that meeting, I was competent, and I was just waiting for my turn to come in. They could not shut me down.
Love it. Absolutely.
So that's what are the strategies? We feeling that we're not confident, we're feeling somebody's going to find me out. Maybe it's time to go back and take a class, course. Go in there, do your research, because competence will breed confidence. The other thing that we have to learn is, Dr. Askew, you said it, those positive affirmations. And I love that song by Mary J. Blige. Sometimes you have to wake up, look in the mirror and say, good morning, gorgeous. Look in the mirror and talk to yourself. When we're having these feelings of imposter syndrome, or that you're not enough, your self-worth, you don't say I'm not enough. You say, you change those the self-limiting beliefs. I'm learning, I'm growing, but we never put ourselves down.
Powerful, absolutely powerful. As you see, this is the women doctors, folks, and they are chiming in strong. And I got two more because I need some more solutions. I need some more answers. And we're going to throw it over to Dr. James real quick. What are your thoughts? What are your solutions? What would you tell that young person that's kind of facing those things as a young woman, how she can get over imposter syndrome?
Well, it goes back to the age-old question, the same thing that I've been saying, the same thing I've been chiming. It starts with the fact that we often ask, what's wrong with me, right? That's what you hear a lot of people that are suffering from this, that are going through this. What is it about me? What's wrong with me? Instead of asking, who shaped the standards I'm being measured against? We're asking the wrong questions. When people ask me about imposter syndrome, I say, I don't internalize pathology for a system that failed to provide. Imposter syndrome in women, BIPOC professionals, LGBTQ plus leaders isn't just some character flaw. It's a reaction to societal design. When you spent your life walking in rooms where you're underrepresented, where the rules are written that are not written for you, where your experience is not put in mind, it's easy to start believing that you're the one who doesn't fit in. But that's failure. And resilience is misinterpreted. So what we need to do is start redefining who we are. We're taught from early on what leadership should look like, what professionalism should sound like. Let's be honest, those standards weren't made for us. How many times have we heard, you're not businesslike? The hair that grows out your head is not the way it should be. I've been locked up since I've been in the military. You know what I used to carry in my front right pocket? Standards. Because what you're not going to tell me is that this is not professional, because it doesn't fit your social norms. The norms don't usually assimilate to us, and we punish authenticity. We should, showing up as bold, empowered Black women in spaces that expects us to be passive. That doesn't work. It only further triggers imposter syndrome. So we have to start redefining how we measure success, redefining, titles and pedigrees and proximities to whiteness and straightness and conformities, and know that it's okay if you don't fit these standards. It doesn't make you less than. It doesn't make you other than. It doesn't make you beneath or beyond. I saw a TikTok that seems to be circulating on not only TikTok, but now it's moved to other social media platforms. And this young lady said that the best thing, this young Black professional, She's in corporate America. She said the best thing a woman ever told her was to wear a wedding ring because she would get more respect in the corporate world. And I found that to be so disheartening,
Yeah.
that you feel that the only way for you to gain respect in a corporate society as a Black woman is to give the illusion of being supported by a male counterpart.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
The
And
end result has to be that narratives have to be rewritten,
that's right.
because as long as somebody else is writing your narrative, you can never live your truth.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And I saw that particular video myself. It's interesting because you sit there and wonder, I'm like, okay, but what about when they ask for spouses to come to an event or something like that? Like, what are you going to do? You going to pick a ringer out of somewhere or something? Or if this woman is lesbian or, gay or something, what are you going to do? Like, those are things that I think they put women in such dire situations when it comes, and boom, that will trigger what people would call imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon. And Dr. Askew, kind of going back to you, what would you tell that young woman, that young girl that feels like she's in that place, she's in that box that people are keep trying to put her in, and how she can manage and be able to get out?
I would say one of the biggest things too is to really just stay rooted in Christ, because my whole identity is Christ. As in, I live for God, and I'm just here, just like a fleshly body, just doing His work. But what I will say is on the like actual practical side is you need to have people around you that also lift you up. So, which I know it is cliche to say, oh, yeah, you need to have friends. But no, like seriously, you need to have good quality friends that lift you up, but that also remind you of how wonderful that you are. Because I must say that the Lord has sent me friends and just a community where I constantly feel like that I belong, that I constantly feel like I could strive for like the stars. Because I have friends that are in my life that are constantly encouraging me, constantly lifting me up. Like I have a really strong community at church that where people just lifted me up. So that is the one way to do it, is you need to be with people that just constantly validate you. Because in like a lot of spaces that I have been in, so I'm in academia, which being a imposter almost seems like a normal feeling for most people, but that feeling was not something I dealt with. Because when like some of my classmates would say stuff like, oh, that I just feel like I'm dumb and I feel this, and I'm like, for real? Because I don't. Like
Wow.
they were all feeling that way, and I was just like, I don't feel that way.
Mm.
um so being in like academia, that where the competition runs wild, and literally everyone is looking at what this person can do, what that person can do, it pays to have a group of friends that are like, Deja, just keep on going, move on, you can do it. I mean, really, that's what it is for me. It is community and Christ. I mean, really, those are the two things that have kept me grounded. And also having mentors too that also encourage me, because it's also nice to have people that are where you are, that are all, I mean, that are where you want to be, that are also lifting you up. Because if someone that's this high sees that you're doing great, like that, it only makes you want to do even more great. Because I have a mentor, she is like a multimillionaire, and she's a Black woman, like super wealthy, super accomplished, and she always tells me that I am like capable, that I am amazing, and she like empowers me. So that makes me feel like, oh my God, that I can do things. So that's why I don't deal with imposterism, is because I have people that really are in my corner, that really uplift me. And also, I have Christ, so I know who I am in Christ. So that makes me feel that I can do anything.
Amen. Amen.
Dr. Askew, I'm going to jump in here again. One moment, Dr. Turn. Oh man, I'm so inspired by you. And you're right. For those who are on the call, if you were rooted spiritually, that's really going to guide you. But one of the things that you said that resonated with me is to be around people that uplift you. And what I always say is be careful where you stand. Be
Yes.
careful where you put your feet.
Hmm.
You know, and seek spaces of celebration, not hateration. When I got my doctorate degree, I was told, oh, anybody can get a doctorate degree. And I allowed that. See, I had been going through this all of my life, being put down. I threw my doctorate degree in a drawer for 8 years, thinking it was nothing because I was in a circle of hateration versus celebration. So we have to check ourselves and see who is in our immediate circle, because not everyone is happy for us.
Indeed.
We have
That's it.
successes.
That's right. That's right. Folks, we see you chiming in. We appreciate all the comments. We appreciate everybody that's viewing us. Let us know what your solutions are to this, because this is something that continuously seems to pop up even more and more over the last few years, this term of imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon. And so I'm going to throw it back to Dr. Cooper, because I want you to talk about what is it that is so telling and relevant with this that people seem to feel like, oh, that's me. Because I'll be honest, I had never really heard about it until maybe the last 5 or 10 years. But what is it that is just so distinct that people feel like that's me? And what do you tell that person when they think that it's them?
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said before. I think we've grouped a lot of terms under imposterism, imposter syndrome, imposter phenomenon, when actually it could be something else.
Okay. Yeah.
Such as anxiety, depression, inferiority complex, that may manifest itself differently, but we still say it's imposter syndrome. So that's the reason why I believe a lot of people have just got on this bandwagon where they don't actually understand the term or what it even looks like.
Yeah.
Because as Dr. Askew and I have said here, we never even felt like imposters. We were a part of something culturally, our environment, or our relationships. And this imposterism feeling will show up in many places in our lives. Not just corporate America, not just the boardroom. It will show up in the classroom and even in our bedroom.
That's real.
That's real. That's real.
It's real.
That's real. That's
in
real.
our relationships, right? And
That's
so I think it goes back to really just asking people to learn more and educate yourself on exactly what and imposter syndrome, imposterism, this phenomenon, this condition. And you know what? Here's another thing that I think is that maybe at some point, maybe not today, but I do feel that we do need to move into this being something more clinical.
Yes.
Especially as you look at people of color, Black people, women. I think that there's enough data there to be able to class it something as a clinical diagnosis.
Indeed.
But I wanted to also share, when we look at imposterism, it's often linked to high expectations, perfectionism, systemic inclusion. But when you look at self-esteem, it's shaped by early relational wounds, neglect, or chronic invalidation. But often those same feelings of invalidation, neglect, and those wounds of hurt, we just class it under imposterism when it's not. It's something rooted and different. And so the first thing that we have to do is identify the root.
Yes.
Where is it coming from? What's the place it's coming from?
That's good.
But you know, I'm gonna say one more thing. But there are studies out there that show 70 to 80% of people in the entire world are experiencing this phenomenon of imposterism at some point during their lives.
Indeed. Dr. James, your thoughts on it's come, people are sadly, they're kind of embracing it, which is a sad thing to say, but what would you tell somebody so they can get out of it?
We're looking at people embracing it, but it's only specific people that seem to be embracing it. It's people that look like you and I, people that we see similarities in. That's who's embracing it, and that's the problem. Why is it that we're feeling like this is, culturally, we're feeling like this is how it's supposed to be? We should feel this way, right? So I do agree with Dr. Cooper that at some point we have to make this clinical, right? Because we're starting to get into the mindset of this is just the way it is, you know. I have a little story. My daughter now is gearing up for college. She's the third now in line. We have 5 total, and she's third up to bat now and heading off to college in the fall. And we went to do some last minute shopping for her college stuff. And it's so funny because we don't see the greatness in ourselves. That's part of this phenomenon, right? We don't see it and we don't realize it until someone else sees it in us.
That's good.
So Dr. Askew said, hey, I'm in here and I'm the young buck and you didn't see just how great that is, right? Until you said it out loud, until somebody pointed out like, hey, yeah, you belong here like everybody else. So I'm out there, we're shopping, and my 15-year-old is with us. And he turns to me and he says, well, my daughter's looking at different laptops for school and stuff. And he goes, Mom, do you know what Black Girl Magic is? I'm sitting there like, you know, where's this coming from? And I'm not really paying attention. I'm listening in, but I'm not listening. And he goes, you know, very little people serve in the military. And I said, yeah. And I'm still doing what I'm doing. And he says, and it's like 1%. And I said, okay. And he said, and even less are Black women. And I said, okay. And I'm still doing what I'm doing. You know, there's not a lot of people who go on to school after college. And I said, yeah, I know that. You know, you go for your master's, some people, and some people go for their doctorate. He said, yeah, and doctorate degrees are really like low numbers. Like there's hardly any that go for doctorates. And I said, yeah. And he said, do you know that only 4% of those are Black women? That low number, and only 4% are Black women. And I said, okay. And he said, Mom, you're Black Girl Magic.
Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful.
And I said, wow.
Yeah.
You're right. So it's like, until someone else sees that greatness in you, you don't see that greatness.
Correct. That's correct.
You know?
We would love that. We love that. And Dr. Askew, as you know, people are starting to feel like they are what this is. And thankful to you, you knew early that that's not me. So, you know, what is it that you're telling a younger person, or what is it that you would tell them that they're walking up to you talking about, oh, I feel like I have imposter syndrome? What do you tell that person?
First thing I would tell them is, girl, you crazy. Because why do you have that? I mean, like, for real, why? Like, why? And then, which I know they're going to respond to say, well, you know, that this person does this, blah, blah, blah. I will also say, too, because in my generation, so I'm a like zillennial, so I'm right on the cutoff. So with being a Gen Z, but also being a like millennial, like I'm literally right on the cutoff mark. So what I noticed is I think social media for my generation plays a huge part
Yes.
in like these feelings too, because you could go on and you could easily see like what other people are doing, what other people have really accomplished, because it's essentially just a highlight reel. So I would usually follow up with that and be like, so how often are you looking at, Instagram, Facebook? Like, how often are you looking at that? Because that can make you feel a certain way too. I will admit, I've been off of social media for about 7 years now. And it is the most peace I've ever felt. And I think that's why I'm so rooted and like I'm so solid, because I'm not looking at what other people are doing like all the time, because I really don't care anymore. Like I actually live my life for me and I'm present for me. The only thing I have is just LinkedIn. But yeah, so what I would say in terms of that is be like, girl, why? Like, and I would just uplift them and say, girl, like you are amazing and God has made you great. So throw those feelings in the trash, because you are unique, and just really pointing out individual strengths that I see that is in that person. Because I work with a lot of younger women now and they love to be mentored by like by me, because they see me as kind of like their older sister, because I'm still in my 20s. So they'll want to like go get coffee and go talk about things. But I always try to see like what is the actual positive thing here, and what are things that are good about you, because we need to normalize positive thoughts about ourselves. We need to normalize having positive thoughts and speaking positively about ourselves. And that's what I try to do that when I'm working with younger women, is to try to get them to see the good and stop focusing on what's wrong. Because that's the problem, is you're focusing on what you need to fix. Like you don't need to be fixed all the time. Like, yes, everyone has things that they could get better at, but a lot of the stuff we have is also good. So let's focus on what's good. So that is what I would tell a younger woman.
Love that. Love that. Well, folks, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. The power in this conversation is definitely felt all over, because these doctors and Dr. Cooper, Dr. James, and Dr. Askew are giving y'all the real deal. You are somebody. You never have to worry about nobody telling you what you are or that you aren't somebody. Always remember that, because I'm telling you, everything out here is telling you what you are and what you're supposed to be, but you got to know within yourself who you truly are deep down. So, Dr. Cooper, as we look to wrap up, tell everybody where they can find you at, and then give final thoughts on this topic. And we appreciate all your incredible insights.
Thank you, Dr. Turner. And I was just reading the results. I'm loving what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing people saying identity trauma, environmental. Dr. Askew, they're loving your stuff. Dr. James, loving your things. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Dr. Cheryl Cooper. I also have my website. It is www.drcherylcooper.com. You can also find me on Amazon.com. You can check there. I've got a couple of books. I do want to also leave our listeners with two things. Don't let anyone tell you fake it until you can make it. Whoever came up with fake it, that fake it until you can make it, that only exasperates and furthers the feeling of imposter syndrome. The next thing that I want to say is that Allie Vinson once said this, the only battle that we have to win is the battle within, that place where we realize that we deserve to have everything we create and want. It's profound wisdom, because it highlights the importance of self-belief, self-reliance, and our power, our choice to shape our destiny. Thank you, Dr. Turner. And it's been a pleasure being here with Dr. Askew and Dr. James. Thank you.
Is Dr. Cheryl Cooper. Make sure you link up with her on LinkedIn. I'm telling you, she's doing incredible work. Get her books, and just thank you for the incredible work that you're doing, for sure, for sure. Dr. James, where can people find you, and final thoughts on this topic? We appreciate you joining us once again.
Definitely. Always a pleasure. You can find me on LinkedIn, Dr. Anika Ayana James, or on my website, www.justnarrative.com. Literally wrapping this up right now, name what's been unnamed. Understand what's going on for you. Show up on your terms, right? Show up on your terms. And in doing that, you'll find the liberation you're looking for. Because when ownership means visibility, you move from survival to strategy. You stop adapting to the room and start designing the architecture.
That's
So
good.
start doing that for yourself. Design your own space. Be visible. Be present. Just be. Understand that you exist. Don't try to make the room fit you, or don't try to fit in the room, I should say. Let the room fit you,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And don't forget, hey, get your copy, right? Beyond the margins. All right. So we can continue this conversation of inclusion, of accessibility, of DEIA, of understanding that we don't have to adapt to a certain structure. We don't have to fit a certain mold. We can just be. And a lot of that is going back to understanding the past, because we can't architect a future if we can't control what we did in the past. We're seeing that right now, right? A lot of the things that we're going through are just repeats of past mistakes, past traumas, past histories, past negativities, and we just continue to perpetuate the same cycle over and over again because we refuse to accept what we did in the past.
Indeed. Indeed. That is Dr. Anika James, folks. We appreciate you. Get that book, folks. Get that book. I'm telling you
Yeah,
right now. We got some
get it.
powerful authors and leaders on here today. And finally, let's go to Dr. Ashley. Tell folks where they can find you and final thoughts on this powerful imposter syndrome discussion.
Yeah, so you could definitely find me on LinkedIn. I also have a YouTube channel called The Healed Scholar. So you could watch some videos that where I do vlogs about just my daily life. So find me on there. And also that my LinkedIn is just my first name and last name. So find me there. And I'm also the co-founder of the Doctoral Student Writing Collective. So please join us that if you want to write. So we meet twice every week from 7 to 10 EST. So you can find us there. And also, my final thoughts in terms of this is truly just to find your community, find people that celebrate you, find people that truly love you, that truly care for you, and people that not only want you to win that, but that will help you win. That's really important. And my last final thought is once you're rooted in Christ and when you know who you are in Christ, then really nothing else should really be an issue. So stay rooted, find a community, and love yourself and worry about what is right and not what's wrong.
We love that. Absolutely love that. These incredible doctors, Dr. Cooper, Dr. James, and Dr. Askew, we can't thank you enough for your amazing, amazing insights on this topic that so many women have been struggling with, but you all provided answers and solutions that they truly need to help them make it and help them get to the next level. And I appreciate you all so very much. Thank you so much for your insights on DOCTORTHON today. We appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Let's see, Dr. Alonzo, are you there? Let me pull you in, Doc, pull you in. So the fun part about DOCTORTHON is we're giving it to the fellas. The men are going to come and they're going to give their insights. So we will let the great women go and enjoy the rest of their day. Thank y'all so very much. And we appreciate y'all to the fullest. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Dr. Alonzo, how are you doing, my friend? How are
I'm
you?
well. How are you, Dr. JT?
I'm doing good, my friend. Congratulations, you just completed a doctorate. That is correct, sir.
That's correct. May 20th. And So yeah, it's pretty fresh. It's pretty fresh.
And tell the good folks here as we wait on our other great doctors to come. Introduce yourself a little bit. What was your doctorate in, and what was your dissertation work?
My doctorate is in sport administration, and let me bring up my dissertation title. It's a long freaking title, so give me a second.
That's no problem. No,
Yeah, it's just like, yeah.
I don't know why they tell us to do that, but sometimes it makes it seem like it's more interesting when the title is longer.
Yeah, something like that. And I'm just like, really? I don't need to have it that long, but let's see here. Here it is. So it's so dumb.
Oh, it's all good.
It is. Oh, now my Adobe froze. There we go.
No worries. Take your time.
Wrong form.
Yeah, it's interesting. We always try to tell doctors too, are you a real doctor if we can't find your dissertation online? Like, I don't know. I always wonder.
mine should be going, well, should have went live, I think yesterday or 2 days ago.
Very cool.
So,
very cool. Yeah.
I can't find my form.
Yeah, it always takes a minute a lot of times after you graduate for it to get uploaded. That graduate school process is something wild. It is absolutely wild sometimes, but when you finally get done, when all the pieces get done, you feel really good about it.
Yeah. So here's my dissertation title: Addressing Head Injuries in High School Football, an assessment of best practices and challenges in the area of concussions as held by New Mexico Activity Association high school varsity football head coaches and athletic directors.
Wow. Yeah, that almost was an abstract in itself.
Yes, I feel like an abstract. So it should have just been like questions about concussion protocol.
That's all good. It's all good. So as you are on the other side of becoming a doctor now, tell us how it feels. Like, how does it feel to finally get it completed?
Honestly, it was relief more than anything. It took me a long time. I started my journey in 2013. My first semester, at the end of my first semester of my journey, I had a ruptured brain aneurysm. And so that set me back, obviously, a little bit. Yeah. Down the line in 2016, I had sepsis, which almost killed me. 2017, I had to have open heart surgery because of the sepsis. Wow. And then I ended up having a heart attack on the table as they're doing open heart surgery. They couldn't start it up, so I almost died on the operating table. Wow. We've been through it a little bit. We've had some family emergencies as well. So it took a minute, but once I was done, people are, how do you feel? I'm like, I feel the same as I did yesterday, but it's like a sigh of relief. There's this weight off my shoulders. I'll tell you what, though, Dr. JT. Yeah. It's been a couple months, right? And I almost feel lost because I'm not doing like anything because of the sepsis. Academic. I ended up,
Yeah. It'll feel like that.
I'm so used to, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll have to write more today, or I'm gonna do a little research or this and that. And so I've collected degrees essentially over my life. And so my wife's like, you're not gonna do any more, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna give myself a year off, but I'm already getting kind of jittery. Like I probably need to jump into something. I just don't know what it is.
Indeed. Well, you go ahead and take your time. We are proud of you getting over that doctor hump. We got Dr. Nick Williams who has jumped in. We got Dr. Harold Lee who's jumped in, and we are talking about the men's side of imposter syndrome. And I'm telling you right now, folks, if it's anything like the women's conversation, you're in for a treat. We are glad you are all here for DOCTORTHON. It's been an amazing first half, and we're about to hit the second half like a home run hit by Ohtani. So I am ready for it, and these gentlemen are too. So we already had Dr. Alonzo who has introduced himself, so I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee, welcome to the chat. First, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you got your doctorate degree from, what your dissertation was on, and the work that you're working on now. Welcome back to the Doc Chat, my friend.
How's everybody doing? So yeah, man, Dr. Lee, I'm a materials engineer, materials scientist, PhD from Norfolk State University, HBCU down there in Norfolk, Virginia. Kind of been all over the place. Did 2 postdocs, and now I'm currently a national security analyst.
Beautiful.
Trying to serve my country the best way I can. I am a veteran, a Marine Corps veteran as well. And interesting, I'm from Virginia, so I know little bit about Richmond. And I was out in Albuquerque at Sandia. So I was actually
Hey. Well, I hope you didn't get your car stolen or anything while you were here.
no. We did have a catalytic converter get stolen in the parking lot. But yeah, we was right
Not
across
surprised. Not
right across from
surprised.
I was right across from the baseball stadium. So
Oh,
interesting, yeah.
That's a
Oh.
small world, small world. And since we're bumping it up to Richmond, Virginia, Dr. Nick Williams, who is there doing his thing at VCU. Welcome back to the Doc Chat, my friend. Tell the folks a little about yourself, where you got your doctorate degree, what your dissertation was in, and what you're doing now. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, thank you so much, Dr. Turner, for the space to really have this great discussion. And what's up, everybody? My name is Dr. Nick Williams. I am originally from DC, so anybody that's from Northern Virginia, DC 202, what's up? I guess for context, I went to the University of Virginia for both my bachelor's and my master's. And then I did my doctorate at Virginia Commonwealth University, which is where I'm currently at as the assistant director of student engagement in the School of Business here, as well as an adjunct professor where I teach both in our School of Education doctoral program, as well as our Metacolor initiative at the university. And so I'm really excited to really dive into this conversation. I just want to give that framing to, because anything I'm going to share today, that's what sort of frames a little bit more about me and how I show up in this space, especially around this topic about imposter syndrome. But great to meet everybody.
Oh, we love it. We love it. And we're not going to waste no time because I'm going to throw it right back to you, Dr. Williams, on that vein. What is imposter syndrome to you? And how has it really affected you as you went through getting your doctoral degree, as you became a doctor, even as your youth? What is it and what has it really meant to your life?
Honestly, it's been more of an internal battle. I think externally, I haven't necessarily experienced it, but more so the perception of others and the perception of myself in spaces, especially because for me, my upbringing, being from DC, having different doors open up because the education system in the K through 12 pipeline hasn't ever been that strong for Black males in particular. I've often been in a lot of predominantly white spaces, often being one of the very few people of color or often the only Black kid in a lot of my classes, especially because I was a high achieving kid. So especially in those honor classes. And so for me, it's always been that internal battle, that internal perception of myself in the spaces, but also how I think people are perceiving me as being enough and trying to figure out the intermediary between that. Because sometimes it's really real on how people perceive me, but sometimes it's a misperception. And there's that tension there as I'm trying to find some kind of like leveling ground. So I really define it as that internal boxing match of trying to get to the real reality about who I am as an individual, who's also a man, who's also a Black man, who's also an educator, a professional, high achieving, who's the middle child on one side of my family, but also the oldest on another side of my family. So all these different layered identities that make up how I show up in spaces, and also growing up in a military household that really shapes how I see responsibility, how I see masculinity. So that's what, in the nutshell, for me, imposter syndrome is, that internal conversation.
We appreciate that. Appreciate that. And Dr. Alonzo, just getting done with your PhD or getting done with your doctorate degree and looking at where are you right now when it looks to see what imposter syndrome is to you, what it has been, and what is your definition of it?
Okay, so what it has been, it's been, I would say it's been a long time coming. I was in the military as well. I served as a JAG officer, and a really good friend of mine, African-American guy, told me, he goes, keep in mind, it's still the good old boys club there. And, I'm a brown guy in a predominantly white space.
Yeah.
And I felt it, does that mean all more me? No, but you just knew. And so if you're watching, it's not a knock on you personally, if you're in that space, but understand that that's what that space is. I didn't want to believe it. I was the kind of, I'm good, blah, blah. And, when you look back and you're like, oh, that's why this happened. Oh, that's why that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why so-and-so couldn't let this go. That's why I was essentially told at one point, I need you to do XYZ, and it was something that you assign a paralegal to do. And I'm like, what the heck, man? Wow. So I've lived it. You know, my dad is also a veteran. My dad was a first generation college graduate, grew up in a small town in eastern New Mexico, where a very racist town. And he was told by his guidance counselor that people like you don't go to college. And wow. You were pretty damn explicit. You know what I mean? And so he was upset. You know, he had a couple of teachers support him. They went and chewed out the guidance counselor. He got to college, and he set the tone for us. You know, I grew up in Central California. Went to it's called Gifted and Talented Education. Did that program, but again, surrounded by a lot of non-minority, a lot of white people, a lot of white. And so I was still the kid who was kind of out of place. So I've always been kind of out of place. And so and this is not a good thing to do. I'm seeing it now, but a lot of what I do is I disarm people with humor, and it gets them to listen. And then at that point you can start talking. But if you just start talking, you're just that guy who thinks he knows everything versus the guy who has ideas. So that's been my experience. Imposter syndrome to me, you walk in the room and you look around and you say, why am I here? You know, what do I bring to it? I have to really remind myself, and I make a conscious effort of doing this. I'm here because I know something they don't. That's why I'm here. There you go. And that's why I'm in this room, in this space, whatever it is. Currently, you know, I do veteran stuff at University of New Mexico. I'm in the rooms I'm in because I'm the subject matter expert for that. So they have me there for a reason, you know. Indeed. So at the end of the day, though, with my experiences, my background, it is still something you have to be conscious that it's there, and always be trying to get over that hump. And it sucks. For me, I don't know that it'll ever go away. I don't know the answer. I'm not going to pretend that, here's the answer to it. But you know, I keep learning, I keep reading, I keep putting myself in spaces where I might be a little uncomfortable, but I speak up. Mm-hmm. At some point, if they listen, great, and if they don't, it's their loss.
Indeed. That's what it comes down to. Well, we appreciate that. We're going to get into the solutions here in a little bit after we hear from Dr. Lee here. So Dr. Lee, as you're looking at what imposter syndrome, and let me preface this, folks, because I'm not going to lie, I was a little naive to this, because when we first were going to have this conversation, I was like, well, do men really go through and experience imposter syndrome? And it was Dr. Lee and Dr. Williams that kind of was like, sir, we can have this conversation. Yeah. And I appreciate that, because with something that started on the preference of 1978 reaction from white women, this is something that males do experience. So Dr. Lee, what has been your experience with it, and how has it kind of shaped who you've become as a doctor?
Yeah, man, my spot's a little weird. So I went to a PWI for undergrad at Old Dominion, and Old Dominion is about maybe 2-3 miles down the street from Norfolk State, which is the HBCU. Now, you know, going to school at the HBCU, you see a lot of people that look like yourself. Correct. Everything's great. It's when that transition to the workforce kind of came. So for me, my first postdoc was with National Science Foundation, stayed in the area. But it was when I went to the national lab out there in Albuquerque is when I saw it. So I've been the only person of color in a room since 2019. I don't know how many places I've been. It's like, damn, okay, I'm the only one again. But what really hit me, me being naive in STEM fields, I was under the impression that everything is just merit based. You're a great researcher. You're in the lab. That's it. I went to the national lab, Sandy out there in Albuquerque, the biggest national lab in the country, the premier lab, and this and that. And so I'm like, all right, cool. Hey, I'm here for a reason. And years are going by. I'm not getting promoted. I'm putting in these job applications, like not getting anything. My manager hired somebody outside the department to come into the department to fill a position that I'm like, all right, man, something ain't sitting right here. And what happens is, I can say the effects it's had on me, even where I'm at now, I'm the only person of color what I'm doing. I have a hard time trusting people. So when I'm in a team, they're like, "Hey man, good job on what you did." Like part of me sits back and go, "All right, are you saying that just to kind of get me out the room, or do you really mean that?"
Yeah.
Um, and so, like Dr. Alonso said, you kind of got to gauge people, like soften people up. I tend to like just kind of like, hey man, this person right here, hey, they legit. I kind of, praise people a little bit,
Yeah.
get them, just to lighten that mood. Um, but it has really inhibited me to build relationships sometimes. I used to just look at, I'm just looking for the first Black person where I'm at. Like,
Yeah.
I ain't talking to nobody else really. And so that's obviously that's detrimental, especially because as you get higher up, sometimes you just got to accept it. Like you're doing things that are hard, and now there's not a lot of people of color there. There's not a lot
Yeah.
of people in general there. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So, yeah, I would say moving from the HBCU to the national lab was Albuquerque is not a diverse area anyway. Um, but when you go in a room in a theater room, with 300-400 people, and you are the only person of color sitting in the meeting, you're like, hey, I'm in the wrong room. I walked into the wrong. Hey man, let me go walk out real quick. But no, it is real. It can really debilitate your ability to build relationships with people. It's hard to trust people, man.
Indeed. We're just getting started here, folks. Got Dr. Williams, Dr. Lee, and Dr. Alonso here. I appreciate so much their insights because we're about to jump really, really deep into them. And Dr. Williams, when we look at imposter syndrome, what are those particular solutions that you see that have helped you in particular overcome some of those things that you face?
So I'm gonna preface this with saying one size doesn't fix all. And honestly, when it comes to healing is a journey, not a specific destination. Each season's going to require different things of you. Each seasons are going to pressure or put different kind of press on you when it comes to the layers and the complexity of imposter syndrome. So I think for me, it's been the internal affirmations, having the right circles, the right people around me that not just affirm for the sake of affirming, but are genuine about how they affirm, but also challenge at the same time. I think for me, I come with the faith foundation. My relationship with my faith, with God, has been really important for me, and staying tied to that has been pivotal through everything that I've gone through, even with imposter syndrome since I was a kid. But also, it's being in the right spaces, but also acknowledging what spaces aren't really meant to feed you in the way that you need to be fed internally and externally, and recognizing the different systems that are at play that sometimes we can't control. Because I think sometimes when we think about imposter syndrome, a lot of it is trying to figure out how can I have a space where I feel like I'm in control, where I'm enough, that I'm being fed enough. And sometimes some spaces just aren't designed for that. And so this is where, if I can't get it here, let me find the spaces external to this in order to pour into me in the way that I need to. For me, pursuing my doctorate, I was the only Black male in my cohort.
Yep.
BCU has been amazing. My experience in the doctoral program, academically, with the faculty, has been amazing. It's the reason why I chose that program. I did a lot of research. I'm like, I need to see people like me, or at least researching things surrounding the things that are really important to me in order to be in this space. But still, I sat in the seat day one, and I'm like, dang, here it is again. I'm not only the only man of color, but I'm only the only Black man. So, and I appreciate the fact that I had built such strong relationships within my cohort, but especially with the Black women in my cohort, that while I recognize that they had the unique connections between themselves, they still served as my big sisters. They still served as as confidants in ways for certain layers of what I'm navigating, even with imposter syndrome. But also we leaned on each other as we each were navigating that together in the program. But still, there's only but so much that they could sort of understand from my lens or my perspective. So I'm like, you know what? Let me seek spaces outside of that. So I look for other men of color that have doctorates. I step into spaces and connected with other men of color that are pursuing a doctorate or have a doctorate through LinkedIn, through different groups and organizations, and really sewing in. I think one of the ones that really clicked for me was through NASPA, the National Association of Student Affairs Administrators. The name always throws me off. I just call it NASPA.
That's what you're right.
But they have a specific leadership development space called UJMA, the UJMA Leadership Institute. I did it last fall, and that was probably one of the most affirming that I've ever been, because I had never seen that many people, especially that many people pursuing a doctorate, all in one space, or who have a doctorate that are in roles that I aspire to be into one day. So it's all about your environment and understanding where your control is about what you step into and what you don't have to step into or seek as your resource. So faith, community, environment are the biggest things for me. But also learning to give myself grace in the grace and space to seek those spaces out over time. Understand that it's not going to be perfect forever. So constantly be seeking those new spaces and those new resources, and also go into therapy. It helps take everything that we sometimes amass in here, especially as men, that we don't communicate externally, like having that space to just decompress and divulge all that's in there, not focusing on what's right or what's wrong, but more so what's all accumulating and letting that out, so that I can then, with my therapist, go through the filter of like, okay, keep this, discard this, let's unpack this. Those are the things that I really have tapped into and still tap into in this iterative process of the seasons of who I am.
I love that. Absolutely love that. And Dr. Alonzo, same question here. What worked for you? I know you talked about the funny, and I know you talked about those things, but what was the kicker that really, or the kickers that kind of got you out of that box that people try to put themselves in when it comes to imposter syndrome?
And I'll take a step back, and then I'm going to go to that. Dr. Williams mentioned, how we bottle things up in here. Yeah. It's not wrong. It's when I woke up one day and I'm like, you know what? I'm done bottling this up. I'm done bottling this up. That's and I know people are gonna be like, oh my God, you don't want to be mean about it. No, I wasn't mean about it, but I was like, I'm done being that guy that people are like, oh, well, just enough, but we don't need you in this space. And I'm like, no, you actually do need me in that space. I'm here for this reason, Yeah. I think for lack of a better term, we gotta take our space. We have to take it. We have to know what's ours, and that's what it is. I've pushed back, but not to the point where they're gonna say, there's the angry Mexican coming out. No, I don't want to do that either. You know what I mean? But I pushed back to the point where they're like, okay, he kind of means this. Yeah, I do. I'm not gonna sit here and just take everything you tell me and turn around with tail between my legs anymore. Mm-hmm. Talking to people. I don't have a therapist I talk to, but talking to other friends who are going through this, we talk through it. I have mentors and I have mentees, and I talk to both. I go up to the mentors, down to the mentees, and we make sure that we get this out there. We communicate with each other that we're not just good enough, we belong. Being good enough means, yeah, you're good. All right, sit in the corner. We belong means come to the table. And if you're not taking your spot at the table, if you're just sitting in the audience watching as everyone eats, what's the point? No, we belong. We belong at the table. It's just changing mindset. Now, does that mean I have solved it? Hell no. No, not at all. And I've been naive about it for many years as well. It's not something that I knew about and I've been working towards. Like I said a while ago, I didn't want to believe that would be happening in the military. I didn't want to believe that would be happening in I should have realized it, in the legal practice when I got out of the military. Talk about a space where, hey, you have to act a certain way or you're screwed because you're the brown guy. The white guy can go and yell at the judge and they're going to go have a drink afterwards at the golf course. That's what that is. And so apologies if I sound a little upset about this, but this is stuff that I realized later. And I'm like, oh, wow, I really got railroaded quite a bit, and I just refuse to be railroaded anymore. So conversations like the one we're having right now, and hopefully people show up and are listening and what have you online, understand you more than belong. The table is yours. It's time for us to start taking the seat at the head of the table. To quote Roman Reigns, right? He's the head of the table. We'll take that seat at the head of the table, baby. We've earned that. We don't deserve it. We've earned it. And for someone to say, "Oh, you don't deserve it," no, no, I've earned it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead
Keep it
and
real.
switch that verbiage, because deserving, you've done this 10 years, I guess you deserve it. Earned it, there's 4 docs sitting right here talking to each other. There's more of us out there. There's not a big percentage, but there are more of us out there. And to say we haven't earned it when we've gone through the same curriculum, same program, same rigorous stuff that everyone else has gone through, and say, yeah, but you know what, you sit at the bottom of the table. No, man, no, that's done. That's done. And if you don't want me at the top of the table, I'm a guy of faith too, Nick, Dr. Williams. I'm gonna. What would Jesus do? Knock over that freaking table. I'm gonna go throw that table over. And I'll make another table. And by the way, everyone's invited to the other table, but don't sit here and tell me that I can't be at the head of my own table.
That's right. Absolutely love it. We appreciate it. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Go ahead and keep those comments coming. And Dr. Lee, we appreciate you so much. And I appreciate these insights, because before we get to the next one, which is going to be what would we tell somebody else, what worked for you? What got you out of Albuquerque still in your right mind? Because I know that was a situation. So what got you to this place to where you're saying, you know what, I'm going to make it regardless?
Yeah, please share that, because I'm going to leave Albuquerque out of my mind. So,
And oh man, I didn't leave it in a good space. Mainly because, long story short, I had put in like 20 plus job applications, and the final straw for me was I was trying to get into analysis, national security analysis. Okay, and they had it there. I was like, hey, I want to do it there. And this lady was like, well, no, what she didn't know is that I had another intelligence community partner that already gave me a job offer. So the top one. And she goes like, yeah, we work for them. But she's like, well, you don't have enough experience to kind of stay here, so you should go work for them. So I'm like, hold on. If y'all are under them and they gave me an offer, how can I not? I was trying to piece it together, like, you know what? I had a hard time trusting people. But this quote stuck with me, and it was, don't view exceptional people don't view other exceptional people as competition. They view them as assets. I had this mindset of like, I'm grinding it out, I'm doing it on my own. I don't need to talk to nobody. I got this. I'm in competition with everybody. And if I didn't get to build relationships. Again, that was the issue. I didn't have a network. I didn't have a great network because I didn't build relationships. I viewed everybody as competition. And now where I'm at now, when I first came here, so I'm at Johns Hopkins. When I first came here, I would see someone's name on something. I'll just go to the office, like, hey man, let me talk to you. Hey, can I talk? And I would learn people, just learn people, and just sit back and listen.
Yeah.
So like you said, like you figure out what people don't know, and I sit back and go, yeah, I know why I was here. Hey, they complain about not being able to talk to these people. I'm like, hey, I was just over there. I can talk. I can talk to those people on my cell phone.
Yep.
And now I'm like, oh, okay. Now I see where I fit into the puzzle. But I took the time to sit back and learn people, man. Not everyone's bad. Not everyone has bad motives. I know some people, they just don't know how to interact with certain people, And you'll figure that out as you learn people. But yeah, being able to work with people and getting some good mentorship. I didn't have any guidance. Like where I'm at now, I don't need a PhD in material science to do what I do. We got bachelor's people here doing the job. I didn't have guidance. So I had to take the roundabout and go all these places. And it's okay. I understand. You're already second guessing yourself. You like, I don't want to ask for help because I'm already second guessing myself. And then you like, oh, that's gonna make me look bad if I ask for help. Because then they gonna sit back and say, why this person? This is why we forget all that. Be humble. If you need help, just ask for it. Get some mentorship. We got this email like, hey, we have free mental health services on campus. All right, I'll go check it out. Went talked to him, was a brother that ended up being from my hometown.
Wow.
I was like, bro, the 1 hour session with this dude, I'm like, dang. He was like, yeah, believe it or not, man, we got a lot of people that come in here that they don't know how to communicate with. They don't know how to get stuff out their head.
Correct.
And so learning people, mentorship, and yeah, get some therapy, man. It's always good to have someone that can I don't know what it is with these therapists, man. They're like wizards, man. They know the right questions to ask.
Mhm.
You know, they don't just sit you down and say talk. It's like they ask the right questions and guide you.
Correct.
And then, you know, by the time your session's done, like you feel uplifted, like, dang, I got that off my chest.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's all right for us to do that.
Yeah.
All right,
Indeed.
can I jump in real quick on something?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yep.
You know, you mentioned about having to take the long route to get to, because you're doing job that bachelors and stuff do. And I've done that myself. I think
Me too. Me
sure all
too.
four of us have. If I'm wrong, I apologize.
No, you're right.
Here's the thing. I was born at night, but not last night, right? So at what point do we say, you know what? We're done taking this long route, because they're giving us all these hoops to jump over. It's happened to me, man, and it's frustrating. And Dr. Lee, I sense your frustration. You've put in the freaking work, And so at what point, and I don't have an answer to this, I'm literally a question. At what point do we say, all right, guys, this long route is dumb? I almost didn't get my job that I have. I'm a director at the Veteran and Military Resource Center at UNM. I almost didn't get my job because one of the people hiring made a comment, not to me, to some of the other hiring committee people. And they're like, well, he doesn't have a lot of higher ed experience. And they're like, well, he was an attorney and he has a lot of leadership experience in retail and corporate. And he's like, well, yeah, he was an attorney, but he was only a JAG attorney. And I'm like, what are you talking about? When they told me this, I was like, okay, he's trying to find reasons to not hire me rather than looking at things and saying, hey, man, yeah, that's going to fit in fine. And, the funny thing is I spend, I don't know how much, a big percentage of my time reading through policies and regs, procedures. When I was a JAG attorney, I was an administrative law attorney, right up my alley. So I'm like, you really hired the right guy. But why is it that they have to put an extra step for us to jump over, and it's frustrating. It is frustrating. At what point do we say, no, man, I've earned my spot? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm just flustered.
So, I want to say something that's weird too. So another one of my final straws was I talked to the psychologist out there in Albuquerque so he sits on interview panels to understand like why people choose the people they do. And he told me, he said, I sat on interview panels where the whole team will like this one person and the hiring manager will hire somebody completely different. And I asked him, like, why do you think that is? And he was like, I have no clue.
No.
Oh, man, come on, man. I know you try to cover yourself. You know what you want to say, but what ended up happening was, so one of these guys that didn't hire me, right? I'm out here at Johns Hopkins, and I walk into this room, we having a meeting. So I'm out in Maryland, okay? One of the guy that didn't hire me, he walks into the room. All right, what's up, Joe? Like, I was like, this is like 3 years later. I said, what's going on, Joe? He's like, hey, Harold, how you doing? I didn't know you was here. I'm like, yeah, I decided to come over here after, left the lab, whatever. And so we're talking later on. He's like, yeah, man, the team really wanted to hire you. But we went with this other guy, and he ended up leaving about a year later. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, come on, man.
Yeah.
But when you hear those stories, you're like, some things you just can't win, man, and we gotta accept it.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It makes sense. I think it's one of those things we sometimes, all being men of faith, you just like, okay, God, like wherever you want me to be. And it is tough because you go through those situations and you're just like, I know at the end of the day, you're going to take care of me, God. You're going to take care of me. And so, folks, we are rolling. We're about halfway through this. And I'm telling you, we are having a great, great conversation. I got Dr. Lance, Dr. Harold, and Dr. Nick. And the greatest thing about DOCTORTHON is it is interactive and people are chiming in. And this next question, comment is exactly where I was going. I want to make sure I pull it up because I want you to help this young brother here. My good friend, soon to be Dr. Harris. We're going to go ahead and check this out. As a Black male pursuing a doctoral degree, often question if I belong because of the external occurrences that seem to limit or restrict my access to exposure and develop and grow professionally while maturing in education. Also, there are challenges finding mentors and sponsors that are Black men that have the time and willingness to serve in that capacity. So we're going to throw it to you, Dr. Nick.
Yep.
What would you tell the soon-to-be Dr. Harris, and what would you tell anybody that feels like I am experiencing imposter syndrome, what do you tell them to do?
So one, and this is something I've had to wrestle with as men, especially watching other men in pursuit of excellence, in pursuit of success. We build a definition of what their capacity is. I've had deans that, like, I remember when I first got to the School of Business at VCU, I had our current dean of business. He was just a professor in marketing. He was the first person that welcomed me to the School of Business. Like, hey man, he's also a UVA alum. He's like, hey man, look, if you need anything, just let me know. And I'm over here thinking like, okay, cool, bet. But the moment he became the dean, I'm like, okay, I don't want to overpressure. I don't want to overburden. He may not have time. I understand. Like, I can see the role. You're pulled in so many different directions. I'll wait a little bit in order to, and I had to counter that kind of narrative that I allowed to run or be designed in my own mind. People will make time for you.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
All you have to do is ask. The worst they can say is, no, I don't have capacity right now, but I will around this time. Or I may not be the right person. However, this person is. This person could, and let me connect you with them. I've had students that have asked me for mentorship, and I'll tell them straight up, I'm like, look, right now this is what's going on. This is what I have capacity for. But also, these are my expectations of, like, if I give you something because I don't have as much time,
that's right,
I expect you to apply it. And then when we do check in, we're going to unpack how that was applied, because that's mentorship, that's coaching. And so we have to remove that narrative that we build in our head that someone doesn't have capacity until they tell us that they don't have capacity.
Indeed.
Ask.
Yeah.
You look in the chat now, I promise you, there's other men of color that have doctors that are saying, hey, I'm a resource, hit me up.
Yeah.
The second piece is also, we often don't know what to ask.
That's good. That's good.
I knew for me, I'm a first generation college student. Okay. I'm figuring this out day by day, brick by brick, mistake by mistake, and success by success. I haven't arrived where I think I want to be, where I believe I want to be. I figured some things out, but not everything. But in some spaces, I might just need time to digest about what do I really want to know or ask. Because if I feel like I don't have the answer right now, I at least want to say, I've tried X, Y, Z, and now I have my question.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just you have to step into a space to present what you already have. It's not going to be perfect, and allow the conversation with other individuals to unfold the question.
Indeed.
Questions reveal themselves in the process of conversation, in the process of proximity, the process of community. This is why I often step in these spaces, because often I'm a fly on the wall because I want to hear and observe, but also I engage in dialogue conversation because that's also how I learn, how I grow, how I challenge myself, and also how I counter the narrative, because ultimately it goes back to how we even define masculinity. I know Dr. Sims in the chat has been dropping some gems, some goals about the systemic elements that also causes us to perceive ourselves as not enough. The research that I've done, I've heard this with students, that the essence of masking. And what's come up even in the research is the ways that we carry so many different masks, because often the masks allow us to feel safe in certain spaces that we perceive as toxic to ourselves of being stable, ourselves being enough, ourselves being able to wear. I've had a mentor of mine call me out on, like, at times I'll wear my blue light glasses in certain spaces because often I'm the youngest in the room. I'm 33. When I started my doctorate, I was 29.
Yeah.
As in, there were 15 to 20 years gap between me and my colleagues in my cohort. And all of them were principals, assistant principals, VPs of universities and institutions. And I'm over here as a financial aid counselor. And I'm like, I'm still getting into my career, and I'm still unsure if I'm enough, because I'm not in the title. Because often we connect enough, and we connect success, we connect belonging to titles. That's as good. Men. Yeah. Because also there's the trope of being a provider in many ways tied to masculinity, especially certain cultural nodes being in Black culture, and this is just generalized over the umbrella and the diaspora of Blackness that is even more complex than that. We have to sometimes slow down and like redefine and reframe our perception of masculinity, our perception of power dynamics, and our perception of space.
Yeah.
The people you want to pour into you, they have time. You just have to ask. If they don't have time, they'll connect you to the people that do. That I promise you will help you unpack all that you're experiencing.
Indeed.
But it starts with the question.
Indeed. We appreciate that love, and that love for our young brother, soon to be Dr. Harris, right there. We appreciate that. And Dr. Alonzo, as you saw the comment and question, what are your thoughts? What do you give to the next generation? How can they, and if anybody ever walked up to you like, I'm feeling like an imposter, I feel like I have imposter syndrome, what do you tell them?
To go with Dr. Williams said, I make time for them. First and foremost. Sometimes it's all you need to do is talk to somebody.
Correct.
It's like, the imposter syndrome kicks up because they don't feel like they belong because there's no one there who will talk to them and tell them they belong. So on that note, any other doctors who are, or anyone who's listening, doctor or not, two things: offer to make time for people, one, and secondly, follow through. And if you can't, to Dr. Williams' point, if you can't, lead them in the right direction. We can't say, oh, let me know if you need something. And then someone reaches out and you leave that message on unread for 4 weeks. Because if 4 weeks later, I mean, that's anything could have happened, right?
That's right.
Or, oh man, I really didn't like this guy. No, man, no. We're jumping in and helping each other here. This is what this is about.
Correct.
But nobody gets out of this life unscathed and without help. And so we reach out and ask for help. We get it. Secondly, another thing Dr. Williams mentioned, it's in the ask. Make sure you know what you're going to be asking for. Hey, can I talk to you about something? Sure. And then you sit down and talk. You don't know what you're going to ask. It's like, okay, they're taking time to listen to you. Have an ask ready. And that's one thing I tell my staff when we're working. I'm like, it's in the ask. When you reach out to someone, don't beat around the bush and then never get to what the question is.
That's
If you want someone to help you, let's say, hey, do you know anything about job opportunities in XYZ? Don't sit there and be like, well, I've been looking for jobs and, I was just hoping I could get something by now. Ask the question. Do you know anyone in ABC? They may or may not, but if you don't ask, you'll never find that out. And you're going to do two things. They'll help you with that, or secondly, you'll know if they don't want to help. And that's okay, because if they don't want to help, you can take them off your list of people to reach out to. I'm just being brutally honest. I've had that before, and after 2 times, I'm like, they really don't care. And that's okay. I'm not going to bother you anymore. I will move on to the next person who actually wants to help. So I think those are the 2 things: is be available, be willing to help. When we say we're going to, actually do it. And then secondly, have the ask ready. Know what you're going to ask for. I reached out to Dr. JT and said I want to chat with him next week. I haven't asked for you, Dr. JT. I'm gonna ask you next week. I got something in my head that I want to ask you. Whether you can help or not, that's not what matters. I have the ask ready, and if you can't help, you'll tell me, and okay, we'll shake hands and it'll be good. But I have it ready to go. And so I think anyone who's listening, when you reach out to someone for help, know what you want to say. I've actually sat with people and they're talking, I'm listening, and I stop them. Okay, what do you need? Because it's great that your cat died and maybe your brother has a new girlfriend. That's all wonderful. But what can I do for you? Not because I want to get you up, because my brain is already in the mode of I want to help, but I don't know what I'm going to do to help you.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do to help you. So please let me know what I can do to help. And then a lot of times you jump in and they're like, oh, and it snaps and they're like, yes, can you help me with ABC? But have the ask ready.
Indeed. And, I think a big thing too is there are some of us that really love to help. I mean, we love it. And it's not even what we can do necessarily. I can go get somebody else that I know can help you with what you need. And that always brings a good sense of belonging, a sense of care, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure you get the help you need. Because, and I learned this a long time ago when I was working at a community college, my supervisor said, you don't know what it took for those students or potential students to get out of their car just to come into the school to apply to go to school. It takes a lot. And that's how it does when people ask for help, especially us men. If we be flat out honest, because if I can't find it on YouTube and I'm like, dang, I got to call somebody or I got to go to Home Depot, I get a little frustrated because, especially when you get that doctorate degree, folks will live there, but aren't you a doctor? Like, wait a minute, that's not the point. I'm saying I need some help. So always, yes, these great men are dropping dimes because I'm telling you, somebody can help you. And if they don't stop there. Get the help you need for sure.
And Dr. Turner, I want to hone in on this one piece big time. Part of imposter syndrome and the challenges with it is that we often don't spend time sitting with ourselves. We run from the shadows of ourselves. We don't sit and accept the flaws that we have, as well as the light that we bring into the space. We have to sit with both pieces.
Correct.
Because when we know what we do well and we can see where we have gaps, the gaps that we acknowledge and that we can recognize often allows us to then bring that to the people that are willing to help us. Hey, I'm trying to work through this piece right here that is a blind spot for me. Can you help me? That's how I talk to my therapist when I sit for therapy. But on top of that, you have to understand that it's not just seeking the one person that's going to be a solution for everything going on. You have the chance to build your board of directors of your life in the different areas. Some people will be able to fill different, like multiple areas, and some it might just be for one and some for certain seasons. You have 4 doctors here and several in the chat, but also several on LinkedIn and in your institutions or your workplace or things like that. But you have to also know yourself and know what you need to know who might be the best person to start with to maybe ask, hey, can I maybe pick your brain about this? Right. Who may not be the right person. Like I know for me, okay, if I'm going to seek faith advice, I want to talk to someone that's in the same pursuit as me faith-wise, because they can understand the complexities of a faith foundation in the pursuit of things of the world. If I want to understand how to talk about how to, navigate the football atmosphere, talk to someone that's played football. At the very least, coach football. You're not going to talk to a physician that's never touched a football in their life or things like that. They just don't have the specialty, right? So be really intentional about how you build your board, your community around you that supports you and understand the seasons that you're in. I just wanted to hone in on that piece.
That. Yeah.
Just to make sure that it's more than just one person that you can tap into to support you. It's a whole board that you build over time, and give yourself grace in that process.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. And Dr. Lee, as you give mentorship and words to great Dr. Harris to be here, what would you tell him, and what would you tell somebody that might come up to you and say, hey, I feel like I'm dealing with imposter syndrome?
Yes, I would say 2 things. The first one, so I'm very passionate about professional development after my ridiculous path to get where I'm at. One of the things I ask students or people about your resume. Like, you got a resume? Most people say yeah, or they'll make a resume for a job. And I'm like, well, what about your CV? Oh, what you mean? So I keep a master CV. So it has everything that I've ever done. And typically I pull a resume from that, blah blah. But I told him, like, no, the point is, when you sit down and look at your master CV, if you're updating it regularly, you'll see the body of work that you put together.
Correct.
When I was out in Albuquerque, I asked his manager, I said, man, how many publications should a postdoc have? He was like, about 2 a year. And so at that point, across grad school and both postdocs, I was at 18. And I'm sitting, you look at your body, you sit back and look at your body of work, it's like, hey, he gave me the metric. I'm past the metric. Like, you get to see, like, it's not you, it's other people. And sometimes it's okay you got to accept the fact it's just other people.
That's right.
But when you sit back and reevaluate the work that you put in, when you see it on the screen or you print it out on paper, you're like, oh, you know what? I put that work in. Look at the dates. 2009. Oh, I've been doing this for this long. You go, all right. Nah, it ain't me. It's them. So that's the first thing I would say.
I like
just look back at what you've done. Have you documented everything you've done and look at it?
Yeah.
And you'll know, like, hey, yeah, I've done it. The other thing I would say, don't always seek a mentor that's in your field. Now, I'm in material science engineering. There's not a lot of people of color in the first place. So if I'm only going to find people in that, it's going to be far and few between. And because I say that because here's what you recognize over time. the technical stuff and what you're going to school for really isn't hard. It's the people. It's dealing with people. It's not the work. For me, the lab stuff, it's tedious. Yes.
You preaching.
Chemistry, yeah, like chemistry, the stuff is, yes, it's tedious.
Yeah.
But really, most of my problems came with people, jobs, relationships with people. And one of my mentors, shout out to Jake Zwig. I mean, he was he's I think one of 8 or 9 Black SEAL officers ever. He has his live streams every Wednesday about, on mentorship on YouTube and Discord. And this dude has given me so much advice, and none of it has been technical. Most of the mentorship I need is not even technical stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I got a question about project management, how to manage a team. Hey, man, I got this person. They ain't really feeling me, and I know that. Hey, how do I navigate that if I might have to work with them all the time? Hey, man, I'm having an issue with networking. I'm trying to get to a place, and I don't know anybody there. He was like, hey, you need to read a book called The Power of Who by Bob Bodine. I was like, all right, cool. Read that, and it was pretty much, the book says, everyone you need to know. And like y'all just said, if you ask one person they don't know, they typically can refer you to somebody else.
Yes.
And it just kind of goes from there. And then I recognize, like, dang. I went back to Jake. I said, hey, Jake, man, I'm trying to get to this spot. Come to find out, he had one of his homeboys who lived one neighborhood across from me. Didn't even know it.
Wow.
Dude has three doctorate degrees, GS-15. Didn't even know it.
Wow.
But if I would have been like, nah, I ain't gonna listen to him because he ain't a doctor, or you know what, he's not a material science, he's not a chemist, I would have limited myself from the get-go. So remember or think about, most of the issues you're gonna face are gonna be with people. And you'll figure a lot of, not this gonna sound bad. I'll say for the chemists and the STEM people are not people. Like, they don't know how to talk to people. Like, we know the stigma, like the nerd, like, I don't know, I'm an introvert, I don't know how to talk to people. It's a stereotype and it's true, but some people just don't know how to talk to people, man.
That's correct.
And so get you some people that show you, like, hey, they know how to navigate people.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's gonna be the biggest thing, really.
Indeed. I'm telling y'all, we appreciate this amazing conversation. I'm telling y'all, man, these are dimes, these are facts, these are insights that you need, because trust and believe, if you ain't got here yet, you'll get there. You'll get there. And so I'm gonna give it to Dr. Alonzo as we look to wrap up here. Tell folks where they can find you, and then final thoughts on this conversation. Powerful conversation on imposter syndrome.
Y'all can find me on LinkedIn. It's literally Dr. Alonzo Maestas, PhD, JD. I think if you just type in Alonzo Maestas, it'll pop up. I'm pretty sure. I don't think I've ever rejected a connection request, so just request and we'll connect. Understand that if you ask me, mentorship type questions, I like to speak in terms of sports, Ted Lasso, and pro wrestling. So you're probably going to get some response back in that vein, and then I'll get to the point. So I'll be like, in this and this happened, blah, 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 blah. Likewise, you should do ABC. And they're like, oh, I didn't see where that was going. I've actually tied wrestling into some keynotes, and people get a good kick out of that. So I like it. Good. It's good.
Yeah.
So that's where you can connect with me. I have loved this. Yeah, I've loved sitting, I've loved meeting all three of you. Dr. JT, we had met on LinkedIn, but never met. Good to meet you. Dr. Williams, Dr. Lee, same way. Dr. Lee, I just sent you connection request. Dr. Williams, I couldn't find you. There's like a million Nick Williams. So if you can find me and send me a request,
he'll reach out to
I'd
you.
be happy to connect with you. There's so many Nick Williamses. I'm like, I'm not going to friend all of them. So they are.
He'll reach out to you. He'll reach out to you.
It might turn into a story on the news tonight. this guy friends 84,000 Nick Williamses. But either way, this was great. It's great to hear your perspective. I know I'm not stupid. I have a different perspective coming from a Mexican American background. But I think the thing that ties us in is that we're minorities in this country where we don't necessarily fit into the rooms that they have for us. So we can, like I said, we can take our seat at the head of the table, or let's make our own freaking rooms and let's let them come knocking on our door. You know what I mean? I'd rather not do that because I don't want to exclude them to make them feel the way we're feeling. So why don't they just let us in and sit at the head from time? I think it'd be great. But yeah, I'm glad there's more people like me out there who struggle with this and we don't have the answers, but damn it, doesn't mean we're not going to keep working for it, you know?
Correct.
So I appreciate all y'all. Thank you so much. And you who came in the chat and chatted, thank you for coming in and listening. Even those who maybe dropped by for a minute or two left, thank you for listening. This was great. Thank Dr. Turner for inviting me to do this. I'm happy to do it again at any time.
We appreciate you. This is Dr. Alonzo Menez. We
Oh,
appreciate
one more thing. I'm always open for speaking engagements. So let me know. I love to speak. I'm funny. You can see on my thing, higher ed leader, funny guy. So I am pretty funny. So just let me know. There you go.
Indeed. Now you got this one under your belt. Now we got a good number of docs that have podcasts, and they're always looking for guests. So hey, we're gonna get you on the podcast circuit. We're gonna get you on there. So
that's what I want to hear.
Good stuff. Right. And Dr. Nick Williams, tell folks where they can find you, and final thoughts on this powerful conversation.
Absolutely. And I should probably have prefaced when I first introduced myself. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm an educator entrepreneur. So how I speak, how I interact, even in higher ed spaces, is very countercultural because I think like an entrepreneur with a military influence, because my dad was military. And so I love talking to people about entrepreneurship and sort of creating, that kind of balance in the pursuit of both an education space, but also an entrepreneurial mindset. Because I think everyone should have an entrepreneurial mindset towards anything that they do. I don't think everyone should be an entrepreneur, but have that mindset to help them craft the path that they really want to have. And so for me, I think understand again that this is an iterative process. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just type in Dr. Nick Williams. You can type VCU or UVA and I'll pop up.
Yeah.
Dr. Alonzo, I got you. I hit you up. I sent you a request. The Ted Lasso reference, which I love, was like gold. That helped big time. But LinkedIn, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok as I am Dr. Professor Nick or I am Professor Nick. You'll see my face. It's a pretty easy to recognize face. But worst case scenario, you can shoot me an email at nicholasaw92@gmail.com and we'll connect from there. But please hit me up about anything, entrepreneurship, education pathway, the doctoral journey. I'm also open to speaking gigs. I love talking in spaces, K through 12, higher ed, entrepreneurial, whatever it may be, but especially about equipping with that entrepreneurial mindset to really craft the space, craft the path that you desire to be your best self. And the last thing I'll leave with everybody is, honestly, remember, you control your path, but you don't have to do it alone. Make sure to give yourself space to rest and be, but also make sure that you tap into the resources to excel and accelerate. This is a fun journey, but also it's a journey that is going to uncover a lot about you. So don't be afraid of the bumps in the road, but also embrace the bumps in the road, because those are often the lessons that help us become. So it's been a pleasure being here. Thank you, Dr. Turner, again for the space and the platform to have this discussion. It's been a pleasure getting to know all of you, and I look forward to continuing to get to know all of you and watching even your journeys unfold. So thank you.
We appreciate that. Is Dr. Nick Williams. And I'm about to fight him because you ain't gonna leave out you be cooking, man. And he got some cooked books, man.
That's right. Again, I'm a multi-hyphenate. That's the new phrase. I do a lot of different things. But yes, my baby outside of higher ed has been, I'm a chef, self-taught chef. I didn't go to culinary school. I was going to go to culinary school and I chose to go to UVA instead. I felt like there was more in me that space would draw out, and thus it did. But if you want to talk about cooking, buy my cookbooks. I have one coming out. It's out for pre-order right now. It's called The Comfort Table, where I put different recipes that are really resonant to me, my family, and my journey, because I really believe that food connects us all. And so I promise you, if you come to Richmond, we're going to grab food in some kind of way. I love taking people around Richmond and the food scene and the history around it, and talking about just different topics. That's me. We're going to kick it, especially if you love barbecue. Oh, yeah, we're going to have some fun.
I'm gonna hold you to that, bro.
Let's go.
We all are. We definitely.
I weigh 255. I have never seen a meal that I haven't liked. So let's go.
Tell me, when you have a Southern grandmother that makes sure that you eat food. I remember going to school having a big construction worker lunchbox. I had enough food that can feed the whole class.
That's what I'm saying right there, bro.
So
I'm telling y'all, and
yes,
that's why also with the doc chat, if people don't know, our seasons are typically in the spring after football season. As you see, this particular Doctor-thon is happening before football season because I know nobody is going to watch us when football's on. And so we typically come on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. What's on? Football. So that's why we're doing this right now. And by the way, the Hall of Fame game is tonight, if none of y'all know. So I'm excited about that. And so, Dr. Lee, as we finish up, tell folks where they can find you. We appreciate you once again being on the Doc Chat and being at the first ever Doctor-thon, and your final thoughts on this great conversation.
Yeah, man. I say, hey, man, you cut it close with the football, man. You got a couple hours, man. Hey, you would have been later. Hey, I'd have rain check you, man. If it would have been later. But
That's why I know it. I already know it.
But yeah, I'm on LinkedIn too. Harold Lee III. My business as well, the Preferred Thinking Group, professional development business. I do speaking as well. I'm really passionate about professional development. For those who haven't heard my story, I'm very transparent. I think a lot of people see doctor and they're like, oh man, they're at the height. And quote that sticks with me is that a lot of people will be jealous of they'll be jealous of where you're at now. Then no one's jealous of the process, right? I don't hear people saying, hey man, I wish I could stay up all night. I wish I could be in a. You don't hear people saying that, right? They're like, hey, I want to be a doctor. Okay,
not at all.
All right, what power to you. But no. So yeah, I'm online, LinkedIn. That's my business as well. So anyone, if you're interested in mentorship, networking, you reach out to me. I reach out to you on there on my business side as well, get you scheduled for some things. But this has been great. The transparency within the group has been it's really encouraged me to share my story with people.
Yeah.
To let them know like it's gonna be hard. Some things are just hard. It is what it is. You just gotta fight through it. But a quote from Coach JB, if you watch know who Coach JB is, he was on the Netflix series like the football. It was a football Netflix series, but he said, don't let a bad day make you think you have a bad life.
Yeah,
I think we'll all agree that there's gonna be some rough days, but hey, man, you still here, and we having the opportunity to be able to progress in life. You can't complain about that.
right.
It's hard. You don't. It's gonna be hard. I don't even complain about that hard things anymore. I'm grateful.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So hey, it's gonna happen, but life is great.
We appreciate that. Appreciate that. And I think all three of us are going to speak into your life right now. You're going to have to write that book, my brother. You're going to have to write that book because a lot of times you don't see or hear that story of Black males going through those STEM situations. And I've talked to many, they're hurting. They're hurting. They get into those classrooms and they're looking like, oh man, nobody looks like me. And not only though, it's the fact that folks don't look like, they don't think they should be able to think the way that they do to be able to figure this stuff out. So this the fact you overcame everything, man, you gotta write that book.
Hey man, I took a lot of classes twice. We'll just say that.
I
should probably have 2 degrees at this point.
But you're here. But you're here. You did it.
That's right. And you're gonna keep going strong. And if y'all have not, please look at Dr. Harold Lee's website. His website is phenomenal. It is absolutely wonderful. I got to give credit where it's due. You did some amazing work because a lot of people struggle with that piece on the branding and marketing your business differently, but your website is really, really good. And I appreciate you. Definitely appreciate the work that you're doing. And so on top of that, folks, this has been powerful, powerful conversation. These great men have come with it. Imposter syndrome has been tackled as the amazing and great University of Notre Dame going to do a lot of this year. Go Irish. So I'm telling y'all right now, we are here. We got 2 more hours of fun that are coming up at 4 p.m. Make sure you tune in. We're talking about branding and books and getting booked for speaking engagements. And then we're going to wrap up Dr. Sims, who has been great in the chat. He's going to wrap us up with some great doctors as they talk on what in the world happened to DEI. So make sure you stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. And until an hour from now, when we come back, we'll say peace out. Thank you, doctor, so very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you
so much.
Appreciate it.